What's up, y'all? I want to talk us up. So, my mother raised 3 boys, and her sister, which is my aunt, raised 6 boys. So there was 9 of us in the house every so often while we were coming up. And what's crazy is they always say something about it's not good most of the time when women raise their children. When it comes down to boys, they throw temper tantrums, they don't have no control over their emotions. And so a father is supposed to be there to kind of control that. He puts discipline, he instills manhood in them, which is true. Because, there was times where I wish that I had a father in my life to help me along the way and to have raised me so that I could know certain things and making certain decisions in my life, that if I had a man that was a true man, he would have been able to lead me in the right direction instead of me having to learn the hard way. So there was a lot of things I had to learn the hard way when I could have had a man in my life, or a father in my life. Now, my stepfather, he was there for a certain amount of time while we was in New Jersey, because that's where we're from. But then once we came down here to Greensboro, North Carolina, unfortunately he wasn't there, physically. So a lot of times, I had to learn some things on my own and figure things out. The things that I needed to know as a man. So, we were brought up in the church and everything at a certain age. I gave my life to the Lord when I was about 14. I don't even know what I could have been like, you know what I mean? Because really, truly, and this is just the truth, I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to make up something to make it look like the Lord, it's just a religion, just come up in the church. That's not how it was for me. Once my mother told me about the Lord, and it's like an enlightenment came on. I woke up. And once she told me and she broke everything down about what he's done, I was curious. I wanted to know personally. I wanted to find out who he was and what this was about. So I started reading the Bible for myself. I would take out my time after I got out of school and read. And it's funny because my daughter, she does it right now. And she's learning and reading on her own. I don't even have to tell her. She do it on her own. So it's the same thing. I was enlightened. I was like, who is this? Who is he? So once I got to learning who he was, it truly was Bible principles that brought me to be who I am today as far as a man. There were 3 that I got raised up on in the Bible. Not that my mother instilled it. It was me reading about it that God showed it to me. One was the ways of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. A man that don't work, don't eat. And a man that don't take care of his immediate family is more worse than an infidel. Those were the Bible scriptures that actually made me to be the man that I am. But I will say this though, my Aunt Sheila and my mama ain't play that. They didn't play all that like even if we was in the church. If there was any man that walked around, or there were people that walked around and you had any type of feminine way or whatever, they didn't let us be around a bunch of women. Me and my brothers and my cousins, we wasn't around a bunch of women. Like, to learn mannerisms and all that. If there was a man that acted a little, they went out ahead and was like, oh no, nope. They moved us out the way. They ain't play all that. I love it. I love that they was like, we from Paterson, New Jersey. They ain't play that. So they shut that jump down. I'm for real. Like my mother, she shut that down quick. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, I guess I just wanted to say something about that because I think that, yeah, there are some men raised by their mothers and, some of them, unfortunately, maybe they did kind of go that route. Maybe some of them did end up a little, hey, you know what I mean? So some of them did kind of have a switch on them. Whatever. But I do think that, for the most part, though, it's just all about, I just think that for me, God did that for me. That could have happened to me. Where I could have been acting a little, you know what I mean? But it didn't. So, with that being said, I would just say, y'all, if you're a single mama and you got boys and you doing the best that you can, I would hope that you get the father. The father needs to be there. don't do that, because when God created man, there's not any scriptures in the Bible that show that it gave any woman the right to take the child away from their father. We are the life givers. We have life in our loins. That's why whenever God talked about it when we came down to Abraham, when he talked about it with Adam, when he talked about it, it was him talking to them about them having life in them, and nations was to be born, because we're the life giver. The woman, her body is like the earth. It's almost like we plant the seed, and the seed grow. But that child comes from the Father. That's why we created in God's image, because just like God gave Adam life and gave him the breath of life, we don't give the breath of life, but we do give life. And that life comes up. And we shouldn't have our children taken away from us. So you got to allow that man to be a father. I know it might not be the way you might want it to and everything like that, but you got to let that man be a father to his child. You know what I mean? And I think that's the best thing, because, you know, at the end of the day, in the long run, it is going to hurt. It's going to hurt in the long run. You're not hurting that man, but really, truly, if you love that child, you wouldn't do that to that child, because it's going to hurt them in the long run down the line. You might not think it is, and you thinking, because, you know, when my mother was raising us, we didn't have times where we felt like we missed a dad. Damn, man, I wish my daddy was here. But at the same time, as we got older and we became men, we needed them. And that, you know, even today, if I have to, I'll call my stepfather. He's a man that's there that I can call if I need. You know, every man needs that. You need a man you can talk to. I got some friends I could pull on and talk to if I need to. But you need that man. And as much as you try to keep that man or that father out of that child's life, it doesn't do nothing but harm in the long run. This is Ricky J. Like, follow, share. You have a good day.